Hey everybody, Strider here, and I'm going to really quickly go over why and how and some of the pieces of how HAL works here, because I got a comment from Jules Token here that says, cool vid, I'm interested in knowing how you set it all up, so I'm going to do my best to show you how I did that. So first of all, there's a couple of pieces here going on. All this orange stuff you see here, and you know, I could see a little better if I move my helmet here. It seems like it's my helmet, which I kind of like. All that you see is staying on the screen is Rainmeter. There is a link below to Rainmeter for you to download that. The actual file, if you really would like that, I give that to you. It's a Gimp file. But you'll probably have more fun making your own. I don't know, it's up to you. That is just Rainmeter. All of that is just Rainmeter. And this is what the file looks like in Rainmeter. I can copy that text below. There's a couple of resources that go along with that, and thank you to Jeffrey Morley. I guess he made this this Lua thing here. These are the resources that go into displaying this right here, along with this. Now let's refresh this because that's not actually what it says now. There we go. This is 8, another test. Alright, so there's a lot of pieces on the screen, but that's how it works. That's how I figured out how to get it to work. So in order for this to display, we have this Rainmeter INI file, and there's tons of documentation on Rainmeter. I'm not going to go too great into detail on that, but this is the exact file that I am showing this on the screen with. So here you have a mouse action cursor 0. What that's telling it is we don't want to see a mouse cursor when we hover over this, because we already have an Elite Dangerous cursor, so we don't want to see another cursor, because that's just going to get really annoying really quickly. This is the author here, update 1700. That is just how often do we want to refresh this to the screen. If I had put that on, you know, a much higher number, after I had saved the log, it wouldn't show it right away. It would take a second before it refreshed, you know, depending on this number. So that's just the refresh number. I actually have, these are all different text files on the right here, and I have set them all to a different update timer, just because I don't want them all to refresh at the exact same time. I don't know that, I can't really tell the difference, but I know that in the back of my mind that it's better in some way, because it's not all refreshing at the exact same time. DynamicWindowSize, I don't quite remember what that is, but this is what I have it set as right now. I think that has to do with what happens when text is filling up this box and getting too large for the box, something like that. You could look that up in Rainmeter. This MouseActionCursorName, this is what we want the cursor to do when our mouse is over. And what I have is a invisible cursor file here in my resources under cursors. All that it is a completely blank cursor file, so that if I happen to run across a spot where the mouse wants to show up, it'll turn into that invisible cursor. Let's go back. Down here, this is stuff that I did not mess with. This is however Jeffrey Morley set this up. I don't know what's going on with the Lua. That's beyond my level. But this will come with, if you were to look for Jeffrey Morley and a Lua text type deal, you would find that. If you have trouble finding that, let me know. I could probably find it again, but I don't think you will. This FileToRead, this is the file that we're going to refresh here. So commandlog.txt. That's this up here, commandlog.txt, and the current path is just saying this current path from our skin in Rainmeter. That's going to read whatever directory that happens to be in. And then you have the commandlog.txt right here that says this is 8, another test. And the rest of this is just to change how it's displayed. You have a width, you have a height, you have a font, and all kinds of stuff like that. Anti-alias, and there's a couple of other options you could do, but that's the entire Rainmeter file. That will show this captain's log. So, well, now he's listening. Save the log. As you can see, since I said the words, I said the key phrase, he started listening. And so now this file here, instead of being this is 8 another test, let's go ahead and close that and reopen it, and look what it did. It says so up now he's listening. So you see how it works. We just did an action on accident. So I'll say the voice command, it's going to reach out and it's going to dictate and then save it to this text file here. I hope that makes sense. It's a lot of stuff all at once. But let's just go ahead and drag this off the screen and look at the voice attack part of that, because that's obviously an essential piece. So up here we have one called Captain's Log. Make sure I say that a little differently so that he doesn't pick up on it. How that is. So here's what's happening with this command. We are going to start dictation mode, very simple, and we're going to clear the dictation buffer because that's how I wanted it. I want to have nothing in the dictation buffer when I start. I just want a clean slate. Then we're going to play the sound, and that's just a feedback saying that he heard that I wanted to start the log. And then we are running this and this, append this right here. All this is doing, it doesn't really have anything to do with Captain's Log other than logging it down here in the command log. So for this command that we're working on right now, don't worry about it. You could delete that entirely. Same with this one. This is only counting. It's a command counter for internal logging, essentially. So you don't have to worry about that either. So basically, if you wanted to recreate this command up here, all you need is these top two to start with. You don't even need that one. That's just a feedback. Really, the crux of the matter here is we're starting the dictation mode. So there you go. And then after we've done that, it's going to be listening to whatever we're saying until we do our closeout command, our part 2 of our command, which is just going to be either a save or an append. That's how I have it set up. There's probably better ways to do that. So I have one here called append log, and that is going to stop the dictation mode. It's going to set the variable called command log to whatever I just said in the dictation. This is a token right here called dictation. Let's look at what that looks like. Those little curly brackets around it. All that is a variable. We're going to throw our dictation into that variable. And then we're going to go out to our log here. This is just text. Kind of confusing, but it's just text. And we're going to use this token called text command log. That's going to grab the text, whatever text is in the command log variable, which if you remember what we just showed you, that's in, this is very confusing. Let me go through this one more time. We're going to stop the dictation. Alright, so we've recorded whatever we're going to say. We're going to set whatever we said to this variable called command log. And then we're going to go in here and write this dictation text, which is in this variable, to a text file, which is in this directory. That's really the whole entire heads-up display here. It's all run that exact same way. This is an append. I do also have it set so that I can just save it, and that will just overwrite whatever's in there and just make it a start from a clean slate and then paste it in there. Let's see how that works really quick. Let me cancel out all these windows here. So if I were to say append, now you can see it already says so up now he's listening up there. So let's just go ahead and append. Captain's log. In addition, probably figure out this tutorial better. Append the log. And you can see it added it up there. And those, now you can see the text up there that's slightly different as far as it's saying e-log here and log there. That is the difference between my append and my regular saving of the log. That is internal logging. That's also additional stuff, and it kind of adds a break between my first dictation and my second dictation. So a couple of things with Rainmeter, and by the way, if any of that is unclear, please let me know. I know that that could be shortened. There's better ways to do that in voice attack. You don't necessarily need to toss stuff into a variable like this. You could skip that entirely, and when you save this log, you don't need this variable, I don't think. I believe that you could probably just send this dictation directly to, use that dictation token directly in here and go directly to the output file. I don't think that you need this command log variable. probably do without it, but that's how I have it working right now because I was figuring it out as I went, and it's a big scary mess. But it does work, so there you go. So a couple things with Rainmeter. You are going to want to have your game in borderless window mode. Elite Dangerous needs to be in borderless window mode for Rainmeter to be able to sit on top of everything. And then you're going to want Rainmeter down here in the lower right. You have settings here, and you're going to want that to be on a position of topmost, and that's going to put it above Elite Dangerous. If you don't set that up, I think by default it's going to put you onto one of these other ones here, normal or something like that, and then your heads-up display is just going to vanish. And then you've got some transparency options and some other stuff that you can set there. So I think that actually does it. Now you should be able to do a captain's log. Let's go through that really quickly one more time. We're going to say captain's log. We're going to speak our command. It's going to write it to that text file. And now let's go ahead and look at that text file again, because now it should be refreshed. There you go, it's got both of our commands in it. So we're going to speak the command, write to the text file, refresh with our Rainmeter text here at this update level, speed or whatever. And there you go. And that is exactly how all of this works. Every single one of these overlays. That's the entire brain of the matter.